I read lots of things on how to get better, how to do things, 7 ways to be a better person. Hi, it's Bill. This is Creative License, and thanks again for jumping in. We're in the lair in my office. It's a little messy, but I appreciate you checking in, and I appreciate you being nice to my sponsors. Electrovoice, DJ Event Planner, Perfect Portals, Promo Only, Disc Jockey News, and of course my workshop, The Entertainment Experience. Well, I read one the other day that said 7 sentences that will change your life. Okay, lots of clickbait usually when you see that sort of thing. But I clicked and I looked. And the one that stuck with me after a week of listening to them, because they were all really good, but the one that stuck to me was pretend that everyone you meet was sent to teach you something. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, we've heard the saying, be curious, not judgmental. And I know we all try to do that, but that really isn't something that we do easily. Usually, we listen to somebody and we instantly have an opinion. We think that they know what they're talking about or they don't know what they're talking about. Or we look into them to find out if they really have something to share with us or not, or if they're wasting our time. Or whatever. We immediately think that what they have is not necessarily for us, because if you didn't, if you did, then you'd have to take a minute and think that you might not know everything, right? And then you might have to think about what you're doing now. But that's not a bad thing. It really isn't. I mean, if you think of somebody as a potential teacher, then anything they say now might have a valuable insight. Anything at all. Their perspectives are going to be different than yours. It may sound crazy at first, but if you have an open mind and listen with curiosity, not with, let me just wait until I can tell you how you're wrong about that, because my experience says, no, just lean into, try to understand what they're having to say, but better yet, understand where they're coming from. Right? They have a perspective on this thing that you don't, because you're hearing something that maybe you're not sure you understand, or maybe you think that for a fact it's wrong, but they're obviously having success with this perspective. So if you can understand where they're coming from, if you can understand the perspective of how they're feeling, then that open mind can really create new avenues for you. It's a great place for creativity as well. I mean, it helps you to stay curious, even when you disagree. In fact, especially if you disagree, because disagreement makes us open our minds long enough to maybe hear something that, well, look, I know, you might have heard everything. You've been doing this a long time. But what happens is, because you've done it a long time, you hear a thing that you've tried and you know for a fact it doesn't work. But if they're using it and they're being successful, then again, you're not hearing it from their perspective. You're not seeing what they've learned out of it. You don't see them as a teacher. You see them as a competitor. You're competing to be right. And I would much rather not be right and learn more. You understand what I'm saying? That curiosity is the real thing that's going to help you to grow. Lots of guys out there, they go to conferences or they go to teachers or they talk to their colleagues, and most of it is them feeding their own mind so that they can go home and go, yeah, no, I got this. I know as good as him. I'm better than him. I know this. I'm more successful than. It's the thing that's feeding your ego, that's making you feel good about your path. And that's not that hard to do. You can feel good about your path without anybody else telling you something so that you can disagree with them. But if you do disagree, if you can take a second, open your mind and lean into what they're saying like it is the truth, like it is something that they could teach you. It is something that you could learn from, because they're a teacher. Everything you come across, everything you see, every person who speaks to you, regardless of if you disagree or not, if you start seeing them as a potential teacher, then you will actually learn a thing or two. What do you think of this? Write down your comments below. Do me a favor and smash the button and do the hearts and tell your friends. I'm Bill. This is Creative License, and I will see you next week.